It all started as a regular ride on my ZX-10R, with the sun out and roads open, just how we bikers love it. The engine roared beneath me, the wind was perfect, and the vibe was pure freedom. But little did I know, this ride was going to turn into something unforgettable. As I blasted through the streets, enjoying every twist and turn, I noticed something that made me pull the brakes. On the side of the road, barely noticeable to many, was an old man sitting alone with tired eyes and torn clothes. For a second, I hesitated. But my heart didn't. I pulled over, parked the bike, and walked up to him. People around me were staring, some confused, others moved. One guy even shouted, "Bro, you stopped your beast for him?" And I smiled, because yeah, sometimes the real ride isn't on the road, it's in the moments that touch your soul. I spoke to the old man, asked if he had eaten, and found out he hadn't had a proper meal in 2 days. I couldn't believe it. Right there and then, I decided to do something. I went to the nearest food stall, bought him a hot meal, and gave him some cash to get by. The moment he looked at me with teary eyes, man, it hit me. That was the real reaction, not just from him, but even the public. Some came forward to help, others clapped as they recorded the moment. It was bigger than bikes, it was about being human. So to all my viewers, this ride was different. Not about speed or revs, but about a choice we all can make when we see someone in need. If this moment touched your heart even a little, do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe to Rev Rider, and share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that kindness still exists. Because sometimes, the strongest ride is the one where your heart leads the way. I got back on my bike, but the ride didn't feel the same anymore. The engine still roared, the road was still smooth, but something deeper had shifted. I wasn't just riding for thrill now, I was riding with purpose. Every rev echoed a thought, every mile felt like a journey beyond speed. The adrenaline was still there, but now it was mixed with a warmth that only doing something real can give you. As I passed through the market, people looked at me differently. A few recognized me and waved. One young boy even ran alongside my bike for a few seconds shouting, "By any Dil Jeet Liya!" That single shout made me smile more than any drag race victory. I didn't stop recording. This wasn't just content for the channel, this was a message. A lot of us ride to escape, to feel alive, to experience freedom. But what's freedom if we don't use it to uplift someone else? The city lights began to flicker as the sun started going down. I rode through narrow lanes and busy intersections, my GoPro catching every reaction, every glance. At a red light, a fellow biker pulled up beside me, gave a nod and said, "Saw your stop back there, respect man." That one word, respect, felt heavier than any like or view. As the evening settled, I took a detour to the riverside, a quiet spot where the only sound was the hum of my engine cooling down and the soft breeze rustling the leaves. I sat on a bench next to the bike, thinking about how unpredictable life is. We plan our routes, check the weather, gear up for speed, but real stories aren't scripted. They happen when you least expect them, and they leave a mark. I thought about that old man. About how many more like him sit unnoticed, unheard, invisible in the rush of traffic and life. We ride past them every day, headphones in, eyes ahead, chasing schedules, likes, thrills. But what if every rider, even once, paused? The camera kept rolling, but this wasn't about performance anymore. This was raw. I looked straight into the lens and told my viewers, this channel isn't just about superbikes, exhaust notes, and cornering skills. It's about the rider's heart. About what we choose to do when no one's watching. About the moments that define who we are, not just as bikers, but as humans. I remembered my own journey, from my first ride on a second-hand 150 cubic centimeters to now riding the ZX-10R. The excitement, the crashes, the wins, the street reactions, the endless road trips, they were all pieces of a bigger picture. And this moment, today, added a piece I didn't know was missing. Soon, some kids gathered around, curious about the bike. They asked questions, took pictures, their eyes shining like I used to when I first saw a superbike. I let one of them sit on it, carefully guiding him so he didn't tip it over. His smile was wider than the horizon. I didn't care about scratches, I cared about that joy. That spark. Because maybe, just maybe, this moment will inspire him to ride someday. And hopefully, ride not just fast, but with heart. Night had fallen now, and the roads were almost empty. I revved the bike softly, not for show, just to feel the rhythm. I started heading back home, the city lights blurring in the mirrors. But my mind was clear. I kept thinking, what if we all used our platforms, our rides, our vlogs, our cameras, to not only entertain but to encourage, to remind each other that humanity hasn't died under helmets and leather jackets. That there's still room for compassion on these roads, still space for kindness in our fuel tanks. As I crossed the flyover, I saw the skyline stretch out ahead of me, and in that moment I realized the journey isn't over. It never really is. Because there's always another turn, another ride, another chance to make a difference, to slow down, to notice someone we might have missed. The streets speak to us if we listen closely. The honks, the wheels, the wind, it's all part of a bigger beat. A rhythm not just of speed, but of stories unfolding all around us. I rode on, headlights slicing through the dark, carrying not just horsepower but a moment that meant more than all the speed runs combined. Ask ChatGPT. As I moved further down the road, the silence of the night felt louder than the chaos of the day. It was as if the city had paused, letting me absorb everything I had just experienced. Streetlights flickered above like spotlights on an empty stage, and I felt like the only one riding, not just the road, but an emotion I hadn't fully felt before. Every time I passed another rider, I wondered what kind of day they'd had. Had they helped someone? Had they been helped? Or were they just lost in the rhythm of the ride like I often was before today? Passing under a bridge, I saw a street artist painting on a wall, headphones on, completely in his zone. I slowed down for a moment, watched him create something out of nothing, and it hit me again. We're all painting something. With our rides, our moments, our choices. What we choose to stop for, what we ignore, what we chase. Every decision is a stroke. And today, I'd made one that added a new color to my ride, one I hadn't used before. I didn't film everything. Some parts one left untouched, not for the content but for the memory. Not everything has to go online. Some things should live only in our hearts, reminding us silently of who we are when the camera turns off. As I approached the petrol station, I waved at the attendant who always smiled when he saw me. Today, his smile was wider. Maybe he'd heard, maybe he hadn't, but the energy was different. He greeted me with a nod and said, "Nice video yesterday, bro, keep doing what you're doing." I smiled back, realizing that sometimes we don't need millions of views to make an impact. Even one person feeling something real from your video, that's enough. That's powerful. I refueled, quietly watching other vehicles rush in and out. Everyone seemed in a hurry, but I wasn't anymore. Not tonight. The rush wasn't the goal now. The journey was. The moments in between. The lives we pass, the chances we get to connect, to give, to simply stop. I took a deep breath, the scent of petrol mixing with the night air, and started the bike again. It purred like it knew my mind had shifted. Ask ChatGPT.